What's going on, everybody? Friday, February 7th. As you can tell, it's a red Friday for the Chiefs to go win the Super Bowl. So we're all here for that. Let's do our daily check in. It was daily up until yesterday when I had to drive. All right, get this. So was supposed to drive. I wasn't supposed to. I did. Yesterday, I drove to near my in-laws' house, which is 3.5 hours away, basically. And I because my car had broken down when we drove down there on the weekend, and I had to get it towed to the nearest dealership, which in itself is about an hour away from my in-laws. So, call AAA. I'm like, hey man, I'm going to need a tow. I'm going to need to get my car sent to the dealership. And so they're like, okay, well, if your in-laws don't have the registration, you're going to need to be there. Well, naturally, my in-laws didn't have the registration. I would have expected them to. I left the keys down there for them, not, thinking that would be enough, but apparently it wasn't. And so we didn't have the show yesterday because of that. And I'm driving down. I left the house early yesterday. I left the house before I even start work, like a whole hour earlier than I normally get my day kicked off, right? And so driving south, heading towards Springfield, I get a call from the tow truck guy just as I'm coming into Springfield, and tow truck guy's like, he's like, how you doing? I'll be there in about 10 minutes. I'm like, hey man, I'm running behind. I'm about an hour. I'm about an hour out. He's like, oh, well, he's like, you have the keys? I'm like, no, the keys are there. He's like, well, you don't need to come. I'm like, what? Like, I'm already 2 hours into this drive, man. Like 2.5. Like, what do you mean I don't have to come? He's like, yeah, no, if they got the keys, it'll be fine. Like, and like now at this point in time, I've already driven, 2/3 of the trip. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm this close. I'm going to go ahead and drop in on the in-laws. They had some stuff they needed to give me anyway. So I was like, fine. All right, whatever. So I went ahead and made the drive. Then naturally on the way, the rest of the way to the in-laws, I see my car going the opposite direction on the back of a tow truck. And I should get notification. Well, we'll get to that. Talk about that in a minute. But I see my car going the other way. I drive the rest of the way to my in-laws. And my wife finally replies to me and texts me. And she's like, oh, by the way, could you get the garage door opener out of the car? I'm like, no, I can't because I missed the car. So now I had to then once I got to the in-laws, we, had a nice little time there for a half hour or so. And I'd turn around and drive back to the city. But now I had to go to the dealership and couldn't just drive straight back to the city. Had to go to the dealership to get my garage door opener. Then I did, got home, got a little work done. And then went and hung out with the Bitcoin guys, which was fun. Me and my brother went and hung out with the Bitcoin guys. Had a good evening, got some information. It's always good talking to people in that Bitcoin community in Kansas City. They it's a good little community, and they're a little bit growing fast, and always some interesting conversations that go down with that group. So I hopefully will get to start going more frequently than I have over the last I don't know, 6 months or so. I haven't been able to go or even consider going most of the time. So I'm hoping to get back into doing some of that stuff. So Super Bowl tickets, where are we at? Damn, they're down another $400 today. 32-20, level 600 right there. End zone bleeders. Where'd it go? Hold on. There it is. 6 tickets. There. 14 tickets. We went to 6. 32.20. Bang. Look at those. Look at that. Look at that. I'm telling you. You get in the Super Bowl. It's cheaper and cheaper every day. Today's Friday. You wait to get your tickets tomorrow, you might get them for $2,500. $2,500. Go see the Chiefs. Get that. Oh, you can't say it because Pat Riley owns the rights to it. But well, I'm just going to screw Pat Riley. It's the triple championship. That's what I'm going to call it. The Chiefs are going to go win the triple championship. So that's the plan. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right. New Orleans. New Orleans is where it's happening. Very exciting stuff going on down there. Let's see. I'm trying to think of things to do for this programming, kind of structure it a little more. We're going to talk about the next thing to talk about is this right here. The unwritten rules of dining on cruise ships. I read through this a little bit earlier. They had some good stuff on there. It cracked me up. So, well, let's just get into it. Why not? So the unwritten rules of dining on cruise ships from Kate Prince. She's pretty spot on. Well, the thing that we'll get into it as we read through it, but like I said, we'll get into it as we read through it. So whether it's sailing on the smallest cruise ships in the world or on a gargantuan titan of the seas like Icon, that would be the gargantuan titan of the seas at the moment. There's one thing that passengers always look forward to. That's the food. Food really is a big part of cruising. It's definitely something that I've learned quickly from my clients as they go on cruises and enjoy their trips. Food is really a determining factor as to how much they enjoy the cruise. Cruise lines always ensure that there are plenty of food options aboard to satisfy their guests, as most meals are often taken in the dining rooms. Some ships have multiple restaurants that include different cuisines, which is perfect for foodies looking to try something new. Other travelers might prefer a good old-fashioned cruise ship buffet, as it offers a more casual approach to meal times. Whatever the preference, there are certain rules that seafarers should be aware of before stepping foot into any of the dining rooms. Though there often isn't a set rule book telling you all the official do's and don'ts of cruise ship dining, passengers are expected to adhere to a certain code. Knowing this etiquette is especially important if you are a first timer, but even if you're a long-time sailor, you may not have realized that you have some bad habits. So let's talk about some of the bad habits. Most of these are things that it's not just exclusive to a cruise ship. But let's just kind of go through the list here. You should always go to the buffet at the right time. The first day on board a cruise ship is filled with excitement, with passengers usually taking the time to explore and suss out the eating options and other activities. Many cruise lines offer an embarkation day lunch, and while it's tempting to gather the kids and head straight to the buffet to get a taste of what your vacation holds, it's not necessarily the best idea. Passengers flock to the buffets during this time, making it one of the busiest periods. Some may be okay with waiting in long lines and elbowing their way in where they can, but if you can help it, it's best to avoid it altogether on the first day. Instead, take the weight off and have a relaxing lunch in one of the other dining rooms that the ship offers. Many cruise lines have several different options that can cater to different tastes. Not only does it take the stress away from lunchtime, but your screen jumped all over the place on me there. Where'd it go? Many different tastes. Not only does it take the stress away from lunchtime, but you're not robbing yourself of anything. The buffet will still be there tomorrow and the next day. And by choosing not to participate in the chaos, you're helping both the staff and yourself and your fellow passengers as well. Oh, this is an important one. This is something that you can do. You should do well in advance of the cruise, right? Is to let people know about this so that they can plan accordingly for your trip, right? Don't surprise chefs with special dietary requirements last minute. Traveling with special dietary requirements can feel daunting, especially if you're trying something new like a cruise. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of planning and packing and, packing your suitcase prior to boarding the ship. But don't forget to let the cruise line know in advance about any allergies or intolerances you have. Failure to do this won't win you any fans among the staff, as they're already incredibly busy. Turning up at the restaurant and surprising them last minute with allergies means that they have to figure out what to do to serve you at the last minute on the fly, while dealing with hundreds of other hungry cruisers as well. The best thing to do is to make sure it is mentioned at the point of booking and to speak to the restaurant staff on the day you arrive so that they are aware. That way, they can do their best to meet your needs. It's also worth checking any menus in advance so you can kind of plan in advance and choose which restaurants are going to have the best options for you when you're picking your specialty restaurants. Pretty important. If you have dietary needs, need to make sure you let the people know in advance. Let your travel agent know. He can let the cruise line know. Let the cruise line know directly. But you definitely don't want to be doing that when you finally roll up at the restaurant for your first meal. Now, if you want to change your table, you need to do that after the first night. When you have that table and you're like, this is really not the spot for me, you don't wait till day 3. Passengers often love the social side of a cruise, particularly at dinner. If you opt to sit at a large round table with fellow travelers you haven't met before, you could find yourself making friends for life. Typically, cruisers are expected to sit at the same table they choose on the first night. However, this does have a downside. Sometimes people simply don't get along very well or have much in common, which can make mealtimes a chore. No one wants to dread dinner on vacation, so don't feel like you can't move around to different tables. It's perfectly fine to ask to be switched to a different area, but only right after the first night. Leaving it any longer than that runs the risk of upsetting other diners who have settled into their tables. Plus, the longer you leave it, the more likely you are to offend your table mates. Avoiding people when you're on the same ship can at times be a little difficult. Yeah. And having dinner when with people who aren't getting along, um, I can speak to that. I won't mention any names, but it can definitely make for an awkward dining experience, to say the least. Hey, here's one. Don't dress like a slob at the buffet. Like, take care of yourself, man. Like, yeah, you know, what to pack for a cruise can seem daunting if it's your first rodeo. You have to consider activities you may be partaking in, as well as day excursions and those all important dinner outfits. It's well known that some restaurants on cruise ships have a formal dress code, but many wrongly assume that the buffet is one of the places where no one cares what you're wearing. It's true that buffets are usually much more relaxed, but that doesn't mean you can turn up in your pajamas wearing last night's makeup. As a general rule of thumb, passengers should make sure that they're clean and presentable when they head to the buffet. Heading straight to the buffet from the swimming pool, still in your swimwear, won't do. And some cruise lines, such as Disney, won't allow tank tops either. It's also worth noting that some operators also have dedicated theme nights where passengers can dress up. Be sure to check before you sail so you can pack all the right things. I got to say, Kate is on top of it. She knows what she's talking about. I'll make sure I put this link to this article in the description. That way you can reference it later. When you're like, let's see here. What were those rules again? So I don't look like a jackass at the cruise ship. I know I saw it on that weird video. Let's see, where do we go? Oh, yeah, there's the slob lady. Okay. Yeah, don't be the slob. Don't be the slob. It's a bad thing. I know. My nose itched. What are you going to say? All right. Here's the next one. Don't cut in line, right? Don't cut in front of people ever. It's rude. This doesn't matter. You don't have to be on a cruise ship for this one. This is good advice for life. This should go without saying. But before you head straight to the seafood risotto with an empty plate in hand, take a moment to observe the flow of the buffet and see if there are any cues. I don't like the word cues. Kate might be British, but see if any cues have formed or lines for those of us here in the Midwest. Yeah, some buffets are much more relaxed than others, with diners casually making their way from station to station, from the different, walking their way through different sections. Others are more structured. If you find yourself in the latter, don't cut in line in front of anybody, ever. This is rude in any situation, whether you're waiting in line to use a restroom or waiting to use the coffee machine. If the line slows down because someone is having trouble choosing their food or is waiting for it, then you can ask politely if they mind you moving past them. Similarly, if you forgot croutons or condiments, but people have already filled the space, you can request to grab something quickly. All of this is basic, simple manners, people. Simple manners. But if you don't follow the etiquette, you can quickly build up a reputation for being that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy. Don't be that guy or gal. Just don't. My goodness. We're all adults here. All right. I guess this one was one I hadn't really considered. But especially on a cruise, I kind of think it probably would seem like a good rule. You're trying to snazz it up a bit. So if you're going to snazz it up a bit, you need to always offer wine to your table mates. Dining in a formal dining room or restaurant on board a cruise ship is a totally different experience than the buffet. This is true. It just is. Now, we didn't, offer wine to our table mates on our cruise on Royal Caribbean this past summer because our table mate was a 12-year-old. Wife got a little. I wasn't drinking that much, so I didn't. And you don't offer wine to the 12-year-old. So it's just how it was. But it's a different experience than being in the buffet. All right. So there's a level of class and sophistication in this setting that cannot be denied. And more is expected of you because of that. If you and your partner order a bottle of wine, don't think it's just yours to drink. The polite thing to do is to offer your fellow diners a glass. Typically, diners will take it in turn to buy the wine each night. So it's not like you're going to be out of pocket, right? It's like, be friendly. If you would rather not participate or do this, then it's best to order wine for yourself by the glass so that it won't raise any eyebrows among your table mates. Okay, this also is different than me. Okay, so your table mates being people that you wouldn't have known previous. That you if you're gonna have wine at the table, you don't pop the bottle and not offer to the other people at the table. That is kind of like You know, order by the glass. Obviously, most people, it's going to be more than your kid sitting at the table with you, and you're going to might have, if you are 4 people at a 8-person table, you might have 2 other couples with you. Offer them wine. It's not that big a deal. And even if they don't, they don't split the buying of the wine each night. Whatever, do it the first night, then get a glass of wine individually if nobody else is going to participate in the program. It's that simple. It's that simple. If you're not a wine drinker and you can order cocktails or other drinks by the glass too, and no one would expect you to take a turn buying a bottle for the table. So if you're not drinking the wine, which generally I don't anyway, if I was drinking, I would probably be drinking like a rum and Coke or something. Then you don't need to participate in the wine buy. But if you're going to have a bottle of wine at the dinner table, it should be offered to all the guests. Of course, technically a bottle of wine only like 4 glasses of wine, maybe 5. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'd be drinking rum and Coke, so I don't have to worry about it. Don't carry multiple. Hey, fatty, don't carry multiple plates across the buffet dining room. All right, like my God, 1 plate, stack that bad boy high, right? If you have to, but you got to be able to balance it. Don't be having stuff falling all over the floor. Don't be a slob. 1 plate at a time. It's a buffet. You can go back. All right. Don't be trying to carry multiple plates. I will give maybe an exception to moms or dads carrying the extra plate for their 4-year-old. But if your kid's 5, that kid needs to be carrying his own stuff and being like, look, man, I need you to carry this so we don't spill, so we don't make a mess, right? Just saying, just saying. There's got to be a little understanding, but let's see here. Let's see what Kate says. Kate says, we all know that it's easy to get carried away at a buffet. It can be. Let's be honest. It's tempting to grab multiple plates at once. No, it's not tempting to grab multiple plates at once. Or even ask your companion to grab you something while they're up there as you get a table. While that's all well and good, don't try and carry multiple plates and or cups to your table at the same time. Buffets are typically busy places, and the last thing you want to do is drop everything and create a mess. This is the point. Don't create a mess. Don't be that guy. Don't make the scene. Other diners will also feel the need to steer clear of you as you walk across the room, which can create traffic flow problems for all the other guests. Even servers know their limits, so don't try and cut corners. If you really need more than 1 plate of something, make multiple trips, multiple journeys to your table. No one will judge you for how many times you visit the buffet. They won't even notice, but they will notice if you're that guy trying to carry 6 plates to the table because you couldn't decide between ribs, pizza, burgers, and I don't know, ham, right? Like, make trips, man. Make trips. Be careful in there. Buffet's a dangerous place. People are, the herd is grazing. You got to watch out. All right. Once again, more like everyday rules of dining is the next point. Never start eating until everyone at your table has been served. Children are always the exception to this rule. If you have like little ones with you, yeah. If there's anybody who has a problem with the little kids starting to eat their food before all the adults get their food, I don't like you. They're kids. But other than that, put your fork down, fatty. Wait for everybody to get served. You ain't any hungrier than everybody else. Be a gentleman. I mostly think this is a thing that dudes do, not chicks. So don't be that guy. There are some bizarre rules on cruise ships that can't be avoided, says Kate. A lot of these center around what you can and can't pack in your suitcase, but there are some that you mustn't forget when dining too. When you're seated at your table and the servers start to bring the food out, exercise a little self restraint, just a little bit of self restraint. Some dishes may take longer to arrive than others, and though it might be tempting, because that food can be really good, tasty. While it can be tempting to pick up your fork and dig in as soon as you get your plate, it's generally frowned upon, looked at as rude. So be polite. To be polite, you should wait until everyone has their food before starting. With that being said, the person waiting for their food will likely give in to social graces eventually and tell you to dig in anyway. And then once permission is granted, then go for it, right? Then it is acceptable to eat before everyone at the table has been served. Yes, this counts for dessert too. And like I said, I think there is an exception to be made for little ones. I really don't know why this needs to be said. I appreciate Kate for pointing it out. It's a completely valid, completely legitimate thing. Yes, definitely. I completely agree. I can't believe it needs to be said. Always wash your hands with soap. I guess with soap and not sanitizer, maybe that's, I mean, sanitizer is not soap. It is not washing your hands. That's not what it is. Soap is washing your hands. Use soap. Wash your hands. Don't just spray your hands with the little bottle of sanitizer on your, no, 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 no. Your hands are still dirty. They're sanitized, but they're dirty. So wash your hands. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it has to be said, but Kate is making the point, so it must need to be said. So it's a sad truth, but food poisoning is more common on cruise ships. Yes, that's true. There are multiple things that feed into this, from the quality of the food to poor hygiene habits at buffets. This next unspoken rule is to protect yourself and everyone around you as much as you can from any nasty bugs going around. There are often hand sanitizer stations dotted around buffet areas to encourage passengers to clean their hands, but it's not actually the best option. You should always wash your hands with old-fashioned soap and water. Sometimes the old way of doing things is the right way. I'm just saying, sometimes every change is not the right change. I'm just what I'm saying. Like, soap and water, still best. Means recommended by the CDC. So there you go. Right. I mean, sanitizer is good if you're caught in a pinch, right? Yes, exactly. But you can't be, you can't beat a good lather. Hand washing takes time. And when, and we often do a much more thorough job and take more care. This simple trick can stop you from falling ill on your cruise ship, which may end with you confined to your cabin so no other passengers get infected. Dude, my wife would be so pissed if I got sick and she had to stay in the cabin with me because she was with me and I got sick because I was careless. She would be so mad. She'd be like, what? Oh, man, she would be mad. She'd probably be like, do I have to stay in the cabin? Can I like get a different room or something and not stay with him? I wouldn't blame her. She should do that. Never, Jesus. Like, these things shouldn't have to be said, people. These are like just base level human society rules. How, okay, so once again, but obviously, Kate's been doing this for a while. She's writing these rules out because, at least she sees that people aren't following these rules. So don't reuse the same plate at the buffet. Do you do that at the buffet at the restaurant? At like the land-based restaurant? Because if you do, don't come on the cruise with us. Just don't. No, yeah, I don't want to hang out with that guy. Get a new plate. That's all. Get a new plate. There's an unspoken plate rule cruisers need to avoid breaking while eating at the buffet. Is it really that unspoken? I mean, it's only unspoken because most of us are like, you just don't do that. Anyways, it's easy to think that keeping the same plate means you're being a conscientious diner. After all, why get another plate every time you go up? Doesn't that just create more work for the servers? Maybe, but it's not sanitary, so stop. Once you've eaten your food, your germs will be all over the plate you used. If you take it back for seconds, the shared utensils touch your plate. Just stop. You may have a bug that you aren't even aware of, and this means that it can easily spread through the entire cruise ship and all the passengers, leading to a mass outbreak, ruining everybody's time. No one wants their vacation ruined because of a simple mistake. I wouldn't, just a completely lack of awareness like this. There is no reason. There is a reason. Sorry, I misread. There is a reason why clean plates are so readily available and continuously restocked at buffets, because you're not supposed to use them twice. Do yourself a favor and join the ranks of the people who already know this, which is like freaking everybody. Lest you be left red-faced. Please, it would be worse than that. Leave a tip for your servers at the end of your cuisine of your cruise, and not just the servers. You'll also have a person who is taking care of your room, of your stateroom for you. You give him a little something too, because they do a good job. They take good care of you. So, tipping seems to be a bit of a gray area when it comes to cruising. Some cruises are all inclusive, so no money changes hands at all, and others may opt for prepaid dining options. Whatever your setup, don't think that you shouldn't give your servers a little token of appreciation. If you have dinner at the same time every night, you'll probably have the same server for the entirety of your cruise. They will go above and beyond to make your experience as memorable as possible, so it's customary to slip them a little something extra in the form of a tip. Don't do it at the end of every night, though. Just wait till the last night. Give them one little thing. Pow. You don't need to make a big show of it. Simply put some cash in a white envelope and slip it to them as you say goodbye. This could be just from just you and your traveling companions, or you could chip in with all of your table mates so the server isn't drowning in white envelopes looking like a mobster at a wedding. At the end of the night, oh yeah, looking like a mobster. I added that part, and then I've screwed up the end of the sentence. My apologies. Either way, they will appreciate it, and it will keep them incentivized on their next voyage. Well, that's what I'm concerned about, making sure that they're excited about the next voyage. No, I don't care about that. I give them a tip not to incentivize them for the next voyage. I give them a tip for the work they did. Anyway, plus, if you come back, and they may remember how well you treated them and give you even better service. You got to be a real cruise regular for that to happen. But it could happen. Eat food that's just been put out at the buffet. I'm not sure about this one. Let's see what Kate has to say. There are so many different ways to eat on a cruise ship, and it just keeps evolving. It wasn't that long ago that Seabourn Cruises added gourmet vegan dining options to its repertoire. Even buffets are upping their game, and it's not the free-for-all it once was in decades past. A lot of buffets offer made-to-order options such as omelets and other delicious foods. If you want to have a more personalized experience, then it's worthwhile exploring. Plus, you know that it's fresh. It's a sad fact at any buffet that the longer the food is sitting out, the lower the quality it becomes. Obviously, yes. Nobody wants older food. To get the best food possible, besides ordering something special, watch the servers and chefs to see what they're bringing out on a new platter and position yourself accordingly. Like a vulture hawking over their shoulder, waiting for them to put it down so you can pick it up. This does take a little bit of relaxation out of your mealtime because you have to be ready to pounce like a tiger at mealtime. But it can be worth it in the long run. Once you got your plate, you can take all the time you need to mash it down. Oh my God. More basic buffet rules. Kate must have seen some things, man, because she is laying out the most basic stuff. You wouldn't even think you should need to tell people, but she's apparently laying out the most basic stuff because she has seen this happen and she's been like, ugh. So, Kate, we really appreciate this. So, you would think that most people would know this simple hygiene rule, but you'd be surprised. Apparently, I would be surprised. I have too much faith in humanity, according to Kate. If someone is already using the utensils provided, don't go in with your fingers to grab a donut or pastry. Get your grimy fingers off the food, bro. It might look like it won't do any harm. After all, you're only touching what you intend to eat. But it's a slippery slope, folks. It just takes one wrong move to accidentally brush past an unsuspecting croissant and leave your germs behind. Staff and other passengers want you to keep your hands as far away from the food they intend to consume as possible for the good of the ship. Breaking this rule won't make you any friends in the buffet line, and you may have strangers questioning your level of hygiene and what else you might do when people aren't looking. I don't, dude. Okay, I'm gonna finish this and then I might get into it, but because it kind of makes me want to hack every time I think about it. But it sounds a little excessive, but it's true. Hygiene is king on cruise ships, and rightly so, for many reasons. It's a floating community, and with that comes a certain level of trust and cleanliness, people. Please. Also, some simple consideration. Do not waste food. Don't take food you're not going to eat. I understand you might take something and you like bite into it and you're like, "Oh man, this is not." But don't take a lot of it until you know you like it. Like we said before, make trips. Take trips. You don't have to get everything at once. Kate continues. Picture the scene. On one side, there's a buffet table overflowing with fried chicken, ribs, and all the barbecue food you could possibly want. That does sound like a Kansas City, Missouri person's like wet dream. Like fried chicken, ribs, and barbecue. Although we're kind of snobs here for the barbecue in Kansas City. And I got to be honest, I've yet to be too impressed with any cruise ship barbecue, but that's not the point. Because when you're on that boat and you're like, then you find, you haven't seen any barbecue in a while and you're looking at that barbecue and you're like, damn. So, on the other hand, there's a fresh sushi station where California rolls are screaming your name just across the room. An entire dessert section is piled high with freshly baked cheesecakes, chocolate puddings, and muffins. You want it all, and you want it now. It's human nature to want to try everything on offer, but don't bite off more than you can chew. The aim of a buffet isn't to leave passengers feeling ill and sluggish, but to cater to all tastes. Take only what you can eat. Do not be Jabba the Hutt. If you take a mountain of food and can only make your way through half of it, it won't look good to servers or fellow passengers. Most of all, it's wasteful. And in this day and age, that's more frowned upon than ever. It is, should be. Don't waste food. Some passengers may also find themselves panicking and filling their plates without having had good luck at what's on offer. Before you join the queue, get a good lay of the land and pre-plan your courses. That seems like a little excessive work, but you should just kind of like stand back, take it all in, get a lay of the land. Ooh, okay. Yeah. All right. Prioritize. Know that you're going to be there for multiple days. Say, okay, I'm not going to grab it today, but maybe I'll grab some of that tomorrow, right? Okay. All right. Or take smaller. Here's an idea. Take smaller portions. Then you can eat more of the different things, right? There's no rush. Don't overeat on that first plate. Don't take 2 plates, like we said before, and don't overfill the first plate. Just be normal. Just be normal. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. I went a little long, but I really appreciate the tips from Kate. Very wise tips, very important tips. Most of them I didn't think needed to be said, but Kate apparently thought they needed to be said, and I'm going to take Kate's word for it that she's seen some things, and she wanted to make sure it was said. And I didn't find a single thing to disagree with at all. Anyway, that's what I got for today, guys. I will be back on Monday. I hope you have a great and fantastic weekend. If you need any help with any travel related ideas, planning, or trips, give me a call, 816-744-1405. You can find me on the web at www.livinlifeandstyle.com. That's LIVINLIFENSTYLE.com. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Oh, you can also email me at eric@livinlifeandstyle.com, facebook.com/livinlifeandstyle. Like and subscribe, hit the bells, all those things. Send me a comment, ask me a question. It's all good times. I hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will be back on Monday. Adios.